Big government Republicans and Democrats were busy shredding the last vestiges of the Constitution. Senators John McCain and Carl Levin want to enact a law that would declare the entire United States of America a battlefield for the military. They're talking about inserting the Army into domestic law enforcement. Senator Lindsey Graham, who supports this bill, says, quote, "The homeland is part of the battlefield, and people can be held without trial, whether an American citizen or not." I guess he hasn't read the Constitution recently.
The National Defense Authorization Act is hideous. What it does is it allows the military to act inside the United States, which is, it's not just unconstitutional, it goes against the foundation of Western government, okay? Second of all, it says there can be indefinite detentions without trials. And then on top of that, if all of that weren't bad enough, U.S. citizens could also be considered terrorist suspects. That means anyone inside the U.S. can be detained by the military, not cops, by the military, and said, hey, you know what, we suspect you of terrorism. We will hold one quick military hearing. You will not get a trial. And sad day for you, we can keep you forever. It is as un-American a law as I have ever seen.
Know good and well that someday there could be a government in power that is shipping its citizens off for disagreements. There are laws on the books now that characterize who might be a terrorist. Someone missing fingers on their hands is a suspect, according to the Department of Justice. Someone who has guns, someone who has ammunition that is weatherproofed, someone who has more than 7 days of food in their house can be considered a potential terrorist. If you are suspected by these activities, do you want to have the government have the ability to send you to Guantanamo Bay for indefinite detention? A suspect. We're not talking about someone who has been tried and found guilty. We're talking about someone suspected of activities.
Transmissions will resume. I try to push, try to keep us all down and hope that we will never see the truth around. Another promise, another scene, another package like to keep us trapped in greed. A green belts wrapped around our minds, an endless red tape to keep the truth confined.
But some of the things that make you suspicious of terrorism are having food, having more than 7 days of food, missing fingers on your hand, having ammunition, having weatherproofed ammunition, having several guns at your house. Is that enough? Are you willing to sacrifice your freedom for liberty? I would argue that we should strike these detainee provisions from this bill because we are giving up our liberty. We are giving up the constitutional right to have due process before we're sent to a prison. This is very important. I think this is a constitutional liberty we should not look at and blithely sign away to the executive power or to the military. So I would call for support of the amendment that will strike the provisions on keeping detainees indefinitely, particularly the fact that we could now, for the first time, send American citizens to prisons abroad. I think that is a grave danger to our constitutional liberty, and I advise a vote to strike these provisions from the bill. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield back my time.